All right, we're back, and we are going to conclude this very short, but there's tremendous amount of information. You know, truth is very, very simple, but you just need to know what it is. And if you do it, it's like, you know, we can spend, 100 years to try to discover penicillin, and then you still need to take it. And so if you just do what we've said, then you will succeed. And the first thing that we said is that basically we have to try to overcome anxiety. And in order to overcome anxiety, you have to have gratitude, because there's a general perception that we have if life is good or it's dangerous. And if your general perception is that it's good, then you'll feel good. And how do you make it good? Well, first of all, you have to have positive gratitude in the morning. If you wake up in the morning and you feel good. Another very, very important technique is called finding the good in the bad, and the bad will become good. So anything that went wrong, find a silver lining. When you do that, again, you reframe it as something positive. If we look at the life and it's about, oh, somebody might shame me, it's not okay. So the last thing that we have to figure out is that, okay, we discussed that you wake up in the morning, you have 10 gratitudes, you say the circle of love, you know that each person that you're going to meet is your other half, and I need to be connected to them, do what I can for them. And the last thing, of course, you have your list, you go through your day, you do your tasks, because that's basically what every day is. You have your spiritual, you have your physical. But most importantly, we have to understand what real spirituality is all about. And real spirituality is becoming God. And becoming God is very, very important. Now, most of us do not have the foggiest notion. In fact, it's impossible to know who God is. But one thing we do know is who God isn't. And we know that God is not limited, right? No being that is limited can create matter out of nothing. Every single second, this very moment as we speak, the whole universe, like heartbeats, is popping in and out of existence. That's from quantum physics. And Kabbalah spoke about this thousands of years ago. In other words, it's called Rotzi Veshuv. It's like the heartbeat pushes out the blood back and forth, back and forth. So the whole universe, every single thing that exists, literally goes back to God. It disappears. The energy goes back and forth all the time. And if you just think about a computer, your game that you're playing, or even this video, it's recreating itself every single second. It's just drawing that on the screens thousands of times so the eye doesn't see it. But that's what's happening. It's just very quickly creating these images. That's why you can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can turn it off, you can turn it on. So that's all it is. It's a generated world. Our world is generated, and it must be generated all the time. So the reason that's important is because by nature we look at reality as a fixed place. And if reality is fixed, what that means is that it's unchangeable. But the truth is, reality is not fixed. It's being generated. And therefore, ultimately, God, obviously, the computer programmer, can change the program all the time. If I'm, let's say, the creator of Minecraft, and I'm releasing that every single second, not like you download it, but every second it's coming from my server. In 1 second, I could change every single Minecraft game because I'm in charge of it. And the same thing is with God. God in 1 second, not only in 1 second, can change everything, but can continuously change everything because he's in charge of the entire reality. So obviously he gives us a certain sense of stability. Right? Quantum physics tells us that when you look at reality, it becomes a particle, it becomes stable. It's like Toy Story. When you're not looking, it's moving around. When you look at it, it becomes stable. So the whole world is literally a video game. And when you're looking, it puts itself into a position that you see it as something stable. But the reason that's important is, first of all, you have to have some sense of stability. You couldn't function in a world that's always moving. But the other thing is that you have to understand that you have an opportunity not to be limited by what you see, but to go beyond what you see. Now, that going beyond is not the physical world. You're not the creator. You're not going to suddenly magically make a new universe. But what you are is you are basically when it comes to your own emotions and your own psyche, you do have tremendous, in fact, you have complete power over it if you exercise that power. And so, just as God every second can recreate our whole world in any way that he wants, so too every second you can recreate yourself. Now this is a very important point. And of course that doesn't mean physically. A lot of people, a lot of these kind of I think now people are becoming more spiritual, but certainly before, it's like a lot of the things. I remember meeting this guy who was like a life coach. He said, if I teach somebody else how to become a millionaire, I'm going to take out my eyes. In other words, let's say, okay, if that's your whole goal, you can't really go beyond it because you're just doing the same thing, more of the same thing. We're talking about recreating yourself, becoming a whole new, better person. And so one of the first that taught us how to do this was the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that every single thing that you see and hear, and often you get a voice of God in your head, it's all there to teach you your next stage of development. Because we all, as I said before, are a mixture between an intellectual, kind of spiritual self and an emotional, instinctive self. And that emotional, instinctive self is not, it has some qualities like compassion, but generally it's very selfish. It's just about, how do I feel? Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad? And it has anger, it has vengeance. That instinctive side in us has a lot of negative in it. And so the point is, we always have to be growing. Basically, you are like an angel in a dog. And you've got these two competing forces. You've got your angelic mind and soul, and then you literally have your dog emotions and instincts. And now you've got to manage this. And those emotions and instincts, remember, when you're born, even though you're sweet, but still you're very instinctive. So you have all these instincts that you have to, some of them you have to overcome, some of them you have to subliminate. For example, let's talk about the sexual instinct for a second. So first of all, we live in a bizarre society, which on one hand, apart from kind of, let's say, the good Christians and the religious Jews that say, okay, there's such a thing as marriage and right and wrong. But in the secular society, on one hand, they're like, rightfully so, women should be respected, and there's a whole Me Too movement, and you look at a woman wrong, you can be sued. On the other hand, there's like pornography going out of style, which is the complete disgusting debasement. So how do these two things work together? They don't work together. You can't say, oh, everybody's free, but it has to be with respect. Actually, if everybody's free, then how are you teaching people to do the right thing? So you don't want to have right and wrong, and yet at the same time, you want to have respect. But respect is right and disrespect is wrong. You can't have both. It doesn't work like that. And so you have to, with the sexual instinct, let's talk about that because it's an important instinct to subliminate. So the sexual instinct on one hand is very good. Without the sexual instinct, you wouldn't have life. But on the other hand, the sexual instinct can be very bad because part of it can be about, if it's done wrong, not about love and a commitment and a specialness in a unique married relationship. That's why marriage is so important. It's a commitment. But what it is really is just debasing someone. So those are the two sides of it. And the same thing is with everything. Let's say ego with the I. I can be very good. If I use the I for love and for kindness and for growth, it's very good. If I use the I to debase someone, put someone down, then it's very bad. So you see, everything is the same. Money is the same way. If I use money to help myself, to help my family, to help others, it's very good. If I use money, so I buy a plane, so you should be jealous of me, it's very bad. It just depends on how you use these instincts. Now, the instincts the dog doesn't have a brain. It doesn't know. It's just, it sees that guy has it, why can't I have it? But the mind and the soul do have a brain, and they are the ones that have to, in other words, you have to always be educating your dog. Basically, you're going to always have these instincts. You can't not have instincts. But you can always make your instincts better. And this is an important concept because right and wrong isn't just a blanket kind of, a lot of societies do. They say, this is right, this is wrong. And if you do like this, you're right. If you don't, you're wrong. And basically, almost all societies, they have to deal with, how are we going to deal with others? And again, in this kind of, far radical society, they're like, we're right, and everyone else, we have we can do whatever we want. Whether it was communism, they killed 3 million people to get into power, and then they killed 50 million people in Russia. And now you got these radicals on the left, which is like, there's no such thing as constitution, law, whatever we say, it's just 100%, this is it. Everyone else, we have the right to do anything we want to them. It's wrong, because the means don't justify the end. Usually, in fact, the means are a proof of the end. Hitler decided that Jews are evil, and he went around murdering Jews. So the means that he was employing showed what he really was. He was just a savage, sadistic murderer. That's what he was. And he just used excuses. And often that happens in life. People follow people that really are sadists. There are people that are just jealous of other people's self-esteem. That's what anti-Semitism is. That's what bullying is. That's what anti-America is. Because on an objective standard, America is the kindest country in the world. It gives the most charity. There are major polls. And we score 2 out of 3 of the highest of kindness. So it's just jealousy. So that's also anti-Israel, which is just anti-Jewish. It just happens to be the one Jewish state. So it's all the same thing. It's just jealousy. Now, jealousy in a way is natural. When people are miserable, they become jealous of other people. But it's our job to make ourselves happy. We can't try to take everyone else down because I'm unhappy. So to sum it up, the most important thing is as follows. You have to understand that you are basically a divine soul. This soul is part of God, was placed in effectively a video game, which we call a universe. And this universe is being generated, and again, this is Kabbalah and this is science, being generated every single second from the Creator, the one whose basically soul you come from. He's generating this universe. And he puts you in a physical body. And so now you've got this basically this amazing mind, an amazing soul in a physical body, and the physical body has instincts. Now that's not bad, but you have to make sure you're driving those instincts. Like a child. Imagine your child takes the car. It'll crash. It'll be a disaster. You have to be in charge of yourself. So last time we gave you some advice on how to be in charge of yourself. But the point of this is that you are infinite. How long is this thing going to be generated? Forever, because it's a decision of the infinite Creator, and he doesn't go back. He's like, he doesn't have ADD. He made a decision. He's focused on his decision. So what are we doing here? We are always, it's like you've got an iPhone and you're getting new apps. It's getting better. It's always going to get better, right? Technology is always going to get better. Well, we are always going to get better. But you have free choice. You want to follow the herd, like a buffalo just going around, and one guy's going to go off the cliff, you're going to go off the cliff, and people do that. Look at the Germans. Society, they followed Hitler, they went off the cliff. And the same thing is these people that are following this kind of society, which the society is saying, don't have kids and this and that. So what's going to happen? The person's going to die, and they're going to die out. There's nothing going to be left of them. And that's statistically, that's what's happening. The only 2 civilizations alive today that are destined, because they're both using technology and spirituality, they're marrying the 2, is evangelical Christians and Orthodox Jews. Because we look at technology, we look at the world as a great place. It's a place to have love. It's a place to give. And so the world, there's no separation between the secular and the spiritual. They're one world. It's here for my spirituality. It's here for my growth. It's here for love. And the physical is the place and where I do it. And the means, if I'm making money, that's what I'm doing it for. So as long as your spirit is guiding the animal, you're going in a positive direction. If your animal basically traps your spirit, you'll never be happy, because the spirit cannot be satisfied with physicality. Physicality doesn't make us happy. Like we said before, you'll get used to it very, very quickly. So to conclude, you have a capacity to always pay attention, and this is the truth, that God is always communicating with you, sometimes in your mind, sometimes in events, experiences. Everything that you see and hear is part of your ability to learn a lesson. You meet someone, you can learn from everyone, sometimes what not to do, sometimes what to do. You say, that person smiles at people nicely. I'm going to do that. So my friends, you have an amazing life. This entire universe is an infinite classroom. The Bible, the guidance of God, is infinite, and it's everywhere. The whole universe is that Bible, is that guidance. And all you need to do is, as you go through your spiritual life, as you go through your physical life, have another sense. Watch this movie of infinite instruction, infinite guidance, infinite growth. And if you do this, I guarantee you, your life will be unbelievable.